Hi, my name is Nikita. I want to get rid of my belly and see abs on my stomach in just 3 months. This spring, I started an extreme experiment where I wanted to gain 30 or 40 kilograms in 4 months. I wasn't able to gain that much weight in that time, but I did manage to put on 30 kilograms in 6 months. And this is how I looked before I started gaining weight, and this is how I look now. I deliberately ate the most high-calorie and unhealthy foods so that I could gain weight as quickly as possible. I ate chips, drank beer, cola, ate chocolate spread, shawarma, pizza, burgers, and pork. Store-bought salads, Snickers bars, and all sorts of other junk food. I intentionally ate at night and broke every rule of healthy eating. Also, I didn't work out at all, meaning my body wasn't engaged in any activity and didn't get any physical exertion. On average, I walked about 5,000 to 6,000 steps a day. During this experiment, my body fat percentage increased from 12 to 29. So you can say I became 18% fatter. Now I'll list the downsides that I noticed in myself. First of all, it's really hard to tie your shoelaces. When you bend over, your stomach starts to stick out, your blood pressure immediately goes up, and your face turns red. Constantly. So you have to come up with some kind of position, or use a long shoehorn. My dad made me this long shoehorn. I don't have to bend over to put on my shoes. My blood pressure started to go up, I check it from time to time, and I can see the numbers are rising. I constantly have shortness of breath when walking and even when talking. Even now, you can hear how I catch my breath. I used to have a normal weight, but now I've developed first-degree obesity. My old clothes don't fit me anymore. All my jeans are skin tight and none of my shirts button up anymore. Now, I'll show on the screen what that looks like.
Well, in my honest opinion, I truly believe it is exceptionally sexy. It possesses an undeniable allure and a captivating charm. Furthermore, it is proven to be an absolute lifesaver, providing crucial assistance and invaluable support.
My underwear now looks more like a thong and is constantly riding up my butt. Now this is probably the most extreme thing. When I walk, I get really bad chafing between my thighs and on my butt. And like I said, both my underwear and pants ride up my butt, and it's really uncomfortable. It's awful. You walk for literally 30 minutes, and then the next 30 minutes you're suffering from the chafing, from this burning and irritation that shows up. So I constantly had to use powder, but even that doesn't help much. So guys, those of you who are overweight, I don't know how you can put up with this. Just because of this alone, I would urgently try to lose weight. It's extremely uncomfortable. I started to smell really bad from sweat, and that's awful too. You put on a t-shirt, walk some distance, or do some kind of work. It doesn't matter if you use deodorant or not, the smell of sweat is terrible, toxic, and stinky. A constant feeling of fatigue, no matter how much you sleep, you wake up exhausted. It's really hard to get your body going. You drink 1 cup of coffee, then a second cup, and it doesn't help at all. Especially if you eat, have breakfast or lunch, half an hour later you want to sleep again. It's like a vicious cycle and a complete mess. Gaining weight 100% leads to a decrease in libido. You don't want sex at all. I think the same thing happens to both women and men. I've started snoring really loudly. I've developed constant burping and gas. Literally in a few days my test results will be ready. I'll check to see what has changed with my hormones, blood sugar, and biochemistry. So all of this happened. My goal is to get everything back to the way it was. By New Year's, I want to see my abs and get rid of my belly. That's my goal. By the way, about 500 people will be losing weight along with me. These are men and women from Russia and Belarus who were inspired by my story. And they also want to see results by New Year's. So guys, if you're watching this video, please write in the comments how much weight you want to lose by New Year's. State your goal. You can write your target weight in numbers, or you can say that you want to see your abs. Also, mention what else you want to improve. Your health, well-being, sex life, appearance, self-esteem, and so on. So my plan is simple. First, I will eat right. Second, I will increase my physical activity. Let's start with physical activity. As I mentioned, on average lately, I've been walking about 5,000 to 6,000 steps a day. That's very little. I've armed myself with a fitness watch. You can use a fitness bracelet or just an app on your mobile phone. And I will increase my step count to 10 or even 15,000. After just 4 weeks, I plan to start running as soon as I lose the first 8 to 10 kilograms. So next up is workouts. I don't want to work out at the gym. I'll be training only at home or outdoors. I'll be doing home workouts every day. That's it. My workouts will be structured in a circuit style. That means that each workout will consist of several exercises from 4 to 10, and these exercises are performed without rest. After that, the first round is finished, and there will be from 3 to 10 such rounds. I'll be using the simplest exercises, squats in different variations, all kinds of lunges, any ab exercises, all types of planks, lower back exercises, and different types of push-ups. I've set myself some small goals for these exercises. I want to do 50 squats, 50 push-ups, and 50 burpees in one go without resting, hold a plank for 5 minutes, and hold a wall sit for 5 minutes. I also want to simply run 10 kilometers. So that's what my 3-month weight loss plan looks like in order to see my abs by New Year's. I assure you, if you use the principles and rules I talked about today, you too will be able to achieve good results. We've covered the workouts, now it's time to talk about nutrition. So guys, let's move to the most important place, where our weight loss will be forged, where we'll work on getting rid of our belly. It's actually not the gym, it's not the place where we'll be working out, it's the kitchen. Because 80% of your results depend on your nutrition. In other words, if we don't eat properly but train a lot, the results will most likely be minimal. You need to understand that weight loss depends solely on a calorie deficit. For example, if our body spends 2,000 calories a day on breathing, digestion, and the activities we need to do, walking, climbing stairs, physical work, but we eat 3,000 calories a day, then that extra 1,000 calories will be stored as fat. If we spend 2,000 calories but only consume 1,500, then the missing 500 calories will be taken by our body from our fat stores. That's why it's very important to create a deficit, and if we train a lot, go to workouts, but at the same time indulge in Snickers bars, fatty or high-calorie foods, and all sorts of little unhealthy treats, then we risk simply cancelling out the calories we burnt during training. So of course, a big emphasis should be placed on nutrition. The first thing you need to do regarding nutrition is to clean up your food basket. Which products do I remove for the next 3 months? I cut out excessively fatty and salty foods. So we eliminate processed foods. These include sausages, frankfurters, pâtés, dumplings, various types of cold cuts, ham, and meat products. This also includes canned stews and various other canned foods. These products typically contain a lot of fat per 100 grams, much more than 10 grams. Usually 20 to 30 or even 40 grams. We replace these products with leaner and lower fat sources of protein. I'll talk about that a little later. Another thing we eliminate is highly salted foods. Salted fish, smoked fish. We can make these products ourselves at home, controlling the amount of salt they contain. Now let's move on to the second category of foods. These are foods containing sugar. We need to eliminate excess sugar because it slows down fat burning and of course contributes to the accumulation of that very fat. So, what are we going to remove? Pure sugar, honey. We cut out cookies, pastries, chocolate, and candies. Marshmallows, juices, and all sweet sugar-containing drinks, including grandma's compotes as well as milkshakes. I also cut out milk because it contains quite a lot of lactose. I remove all pastries, cakes, gummy candies, and marshmallows and so on. In general, the list of products I'm eliminating will be pinned in the first comment, and you'll be able to read it in detail so I don't have to list everything here. By completing this first step, clearing out your food basket, you can already expect results, provided that you meet your step goals and do light home workouts. What will my diet consist of? It will consist of 6 categories of foods. These are proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vegetables, spices and supplements, and various liquids. Let's start with protein. Protein is a component needed to build our bodies, muscles, tissues, and organs. Protein is necessary for immunity and many other functions. In other words, protein is indispensable, like a building block at a construction site. There is a simple rule here. I will use lean proteins. Any food with up to 6% fat can end up on my table. What did I buy for this week? Pink salmon fillet. This is the packaging. I bought myself some halibut. Clean fillet. And I bought myself some mussels. You could also buy squid, shrimp, octopus, and any seafood. They are all low fat and are excellent sources of protein. Next, I bought some chicken meat, just bone and breast. I'll remove and discard the skin and use the meat to cook various dishes for myself. You could also buy turkey. Lean beef is also suitable, and even lean pork. If it's tenderloin, it's also low fat and works great. You can also use organ meats, such as chicken, beef, and pork liver, or turkey heart, but not chicken heart, as it's a bit tough. Chicken gizzards can also be used, and that's probably it. Cottage cheese is also an excellent protein option. I bought several kinds, and the kind you can spread on crisp bread, they have that now. And there's also regular crumbly cottage cheese, which you can use to make a casserole, or sirniki, for example. The next protein source, in terms of protein content, is yogurt. I buy Greek yogurt, and I recommend you buy only Greek yogurt, without any additives. It also contains a good amount of protein. All the others contain very little protein and essentially can't really be considered protein products. Such yogurt can't really be considered a protein source. It actually has more carbohydrates than protein. Now there's a product that can barely be called a protein source, but it's great if you're tired of eating meat and are in a hurry: kefir. You pour yourself 300 milliliters and get about 10 grams of protein per serving, which also counts. By the way, I also picked up a can of fish, tuna. You could also get pink salmon. I choose the kind in its own juice. It has very little fat and is super convenient. Just open it and eat it as is, or cook with it. Canned foods always come to the rescue. By the way, I forgot to buy eggs. Eggs are also an excellent source of protein. You can get chicken or quail eggs. The second category of foods is fats. On a diet, you should never exclude them because they are responsible for metabolic processes, hormone production, and the absorption of vitamins. Fats are divided into plant-based and animal-based. I will consume them in a 50-50 ratio. Some from plant sources, some from animal sources. Let's start with animal fats first. Butter? It's an excellent option. You can add it to porridge 82.5%. Another great source of fat is cheese. Here I picked Gouda cheese. You can choose any kind. The main thing is that it shouldn't be low fat, but high fat. Next is butter. I just bought regular sunflower oil for myself. You can buy olive oil, flaxseed oil, pine nut oil, grapeseed oil, and so on. I'll be adding it to salads and using a little for frying. Basically, that's all the fats I bought. You can also use avocado as a plant-based fat. Nuts and any kind of seeds. I just forgot to buy them. I'll get them next time. Now let's move on to carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are our source of energy. Many people make the mistake of cutting out carbs and eating only protein. For a week, the results are good. But by the second week, irritability increases. People start to break down and everything falls apart. So what did I get for carbohydrates? Pasta made from durum wheat from different brands, Barilla and Gallina Blanca. You can get pasta in different shapes, it doesn't matter. I bought crisp breads as a substitute for bread because I'm also cutting out bread for a while. I love crunchy things, and these Borodinsky crisp breads are very similar to croutons. They completely satisfy my craving for chips and anything crunchy 100%. Next, for carbohydrates, any kind of grain will work for you. I bought rice and buckwheat. I love parboiled rice. You can also buy pearl barley, quinoa, or bulgur. Fruits and berries are also considered carbohydrates. I bought myself some frozen berries. I like to eat them as a substitute for candy. You just take some frozen berries and eat them. After a small bowl, you don't even want anything sweet anymore. That's my life hack that I'm going to use. I got myself some strawberries and I think either pitted cherries or sweet cherries. Almost any fruit will work as a source of carbohydrates. I got myself apples and oranges. I could have also bought grapefruit or kiwi. The only ones I'll be excluding are watermelon and banana. All other fruits can be eaten. Dried fruits like prunes, dried apricots, and figs can also be considered carbohydrates. I'm not a big fan of them, so I didn't buy any. Now let's move on to the fourth category of foods. This one is the simplest. It's vegetables. You can eat almost any vegetables without restrictions in any quantity as salads, sliced, or as additional side dishes you prepare for yourself. But there are some vegetables you should limit. These are carrots, beets, pumpkin, corn, and peas. They contain a bit more carbohydrates, so you should limit them to 150 grams per day. For example, if you take 150 grams of carrots to prepare a dish, then on that same day you shouldn't also have 150 grams of beets. So you need to at least keep track of these foods in your mind. So for vegetables, I picked tomatoes, I picked cucumbers, you could also take bell peppers, I picked spinach, broccoli, and I also got Brussels sprouts. Basically, any greens, any vegetables will work great for you. I'll be making salads from these and adding them to main dishes as well. It's also worth mentioning mushrooms. We classify mushrooms as vegetables, even though many people think they're a protein. In reality, mushrooms are very low in calories, so you can use them without restriction, and they make your dishes more varied. And that's not all. Now, the fifth category of foods is spices and seasonings. We're used to eating tasty food, and there's no need to make your meals bland. This leads to breakdowns. It doesn't work. It's already been proven with many people. That's why I'm going to use salt. Spices and sauces in small amounts are also used to make food more vibrant and tastier. So, what did I buy? The spices I use all the time are curry, regular paprika like this, dried garlic. I also have turmeric, hot pepper, and the most standard universal seasonings, for example, for meat, for fish, for kebabs. But I rarely use those. I usually go for these. I bought myself a small jar of barbecue sauce. Why small jars and small bottles? So I don't use too much, since they do contain calories. These are the products you need to keep an eye on. A couple of spoonfuls of ketchup won't do much harm to the calorie content of a dish, but if you keep pouring and pouring it into every meal, of course, you can go overboard. I also got myself classic soy sauce and Dijon mustard. I like to use it for salad dressings and to make different sauces. As for fruits, I have limes, but as a rule, we don't use lemons and limes as fruits. These are more for use as additives to create marinades and sauces. It goes perfectly with Dijon mustard. I also bought myself some ginger root. You can put it in tea or grate it into various dishes while they're cooking. It's very tasty. So, that's it for the additives. As for salt, if we're talking about specific guidelines, it's 3 to 5 grams of salt per day and a couple of spoonfuls of spices to make your dishes tastier. And a couple of spoonfuls of sauces that you can dip your meat in or use in some other way. Alright, we've covered most of the foods. Now let's talk about drinks. You should drink at least 1.5 liters or more. You can drink water, you can drink tea and coffee as long as they're without sugar. After coffee, I make sure to drink a glass of water. You can also use chicory drinks. You can drink mineral water or flavored sparkling water. There are no calories in those. If you're really craving something sweet, you can have Coke Zero or Pepsi Zero. Of course, these aren't the healthiest products, but if you really want them, it's okay. Now about sweeteners. You can use sweeteners too. This could be stevia, or you can add susli when making serniki in various sauces or in tea. I don't use them myself. Instead of sugar or sweets, I usually use fruits, berries, or dried fruits. I cut out flour from my diet, but I will use 1 to 2 spoonfuls just to bind dishes together. I'll use any kind of flour because it doesn't matter which one if you're only using a small amount. You can also use baking soda, vinegar, or liquid smoke, as long as it's all in moderation. Well, I've told you about all the products I've bought and will be using. Now we need to figure out the rules for cooking and the amount of food to use. So, as I mentioned earlier, you can cook food any way you like. You can fry, bake, stew, boil, steam, or dry it. If you fry, you can use a small amount of oil or a non-stick pan. That is, a non-stick pan or a grill works perfectly. Now, about the calorie content of the diet. I recommend that those who weigh more than 100 kilograms eat about 1,900 calories. And starting next week, I will personally stick to this calorie intake. If you weigh more than 70 but less than 100, I recommend 1,700 calories. If you weigh between 55 and 70, that's 1,500 calories. And if you weigh less than 55, that's 1,300 calories. Of course, this is a very rough division, but observing people who have lost weight, I've noticed that these numbers work well. Now about how many meals I'll be having. I will always have 3 main meals and 1 snack. It's convenient for me to eat 4 times a day. That is, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack, which can freely move to any time when I feel like eating, so I can even have the snack after dinner. What will my breakfast look like? It will always include something with carbs, something with protein, and something with fats. For example, from the products I bought, I can make buckwheat, an omelette with spinach, mushrooms, and tomato. I can top it all with barbecue sauce and add some cheese. That's a good hearty breakfast. My lunch might look like this. Pasta, chicken pieces fried in soy sauce. I sprinkle cheese on the pasta and drizzle it with ketchup. And I also eat a vegetable salad dressed with lemon juice and mustard. My dinner will always include carbohydrates, but it won't include fats. That is, if for breakfast, lunch, and dinner I always use proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, then for dinner, I won't be using fats. My dinner might look like this. Crisp bread with cheese spread on top, sprinkled with herbs and garlic, for example. Or I might have serniki with berries. Or I'll just drink kefir and eat some fruit. My snack will always consist of protein and carbohydrates. As a rule, here I'll use something quick and convenient. That's kefir or yogurt, plus fruit or dried fruit. Sometimes, if I feel hungry, I'll make myself some crisp bread. The intervals between my meals will be flexible. I don't like eating according to a strict schedule, so when I feel like eating, when I have the time, that's when I eat. Breakfast is formally the first meal of the day, dinner is formally the last meal, and I'll have dinner even at night, right before bed, whenever I want. This doesn't really affect weight loss, that's for sure. If you have any questions, you can write them right below this video, under this clip. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting daily mini updates about how I trained, how many steps I took, what happened, how I'm feeling, and what I'm eating. Don't forget to also follow me on Instagram, the link will be below. There, I post stories, share alternative information, and write interesting posts about motivation and the mechanics of weight loss. Wishing everyone good luck, bye!